The time is 6:01. We'll call the meeting to order. Will you do roll call, Ashley?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me okay?
Here.
Vice Chair Ellen Ermis,
Here.
Erica Ibarra. Here. Julia Fishback. Here. Ann Duhan. Here. Ryan Ramirez. And then we do have one who is not attending today. Oh, two who are not attending today.
And if she comes in a little while, I'll just turn it over to her?
Yes.
Okay,
But we
thanks.
do have Julianne Orgish, who did let us know ahead of time that she would not be attending today's meeting. I'd like to reach out to all of you guys to see about excusing her absence. If you can have, if we can have a vote on that.
At this time, we'll consider approval of the Parks and Recreation Board meeting minutes from February 20th.
Oh, sorry.
We need a motion?
Yes, yes.
I make a motion to excuse Julianne Orgish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
I second.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
okay. Now to the minutes.
Do we need to vote?
Can I get a motion to approve? And a second?
Vote Julia was first.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Seconded, and now we vote. All those in favor? Yeah. Aye.
Aye. The Parks and Recreation Board welcomes comments from citizens early in the agenda of the Parks and Recreation Board meetings. Those wishing to speak are encouraged to sign in before the meeting begins. Speakers may be provided with an opportunity to speak during this time period on an agenda item or any other matter concerning city business, and they must observe the 3-minute time limit. I would just say a word that April 11th, we're having a live conjunto band paid for by the Texas Commission for the Arts. There was a grant. This is our second year to get $4,000, and they bring 4 live bands. It's free. We encourage people to come out. All right. We'll move on to reports and presentations. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and provide feedback on Parks and Recreation Board Vice President Ellen Ermis's attendance of the 2025 Texas Recreation and Park Society State Conference held in Allen, Texas. Item presenter is David Lopez.
All right, good evening, board members. Once we get the presentation pulled up, I will actually turn the presentation over to Vice Chair Ellen Ermis to share about her experience with
I better get
the
my screen on.
the recent TRAPS 2025 conference that was held in Allen, Texas.
I can read it also in here. My screen wasn't on, but I can just read it from here. Did I not press that hard enough? Let's see. No signal, okay. It was last week in February, and several Parks and Rec staff members went. It was 8 or 9 of you, maybe? And then for the finale, the award presentation, we had the city manager, 2 assistant city managers, council member, other distinguished guests. Anyway, it's one of the best state organizations of its kind, and it has 4 regions. It was established in 1987 by Michael N. Lord from Texas State. She helped me develop a sports park and recreation center at Canyon Lake. Not me, but a nonprofit group of women who the men said, "You'll never do it." Well, we did it. Anyway. She runs a leadership academy, and Chris Escoto went to that. She was there, and she's still the life of the party. This organization has over 2,600 members, and over 1,000 attended. Oh, with 9 staff members from here. The sessions that I went to were about advocacy and legislative efforts. The director of Parks and Rec in Wimberley did this one, My Monkey, no, she's a girl on fire. Anyway, My Monkey, My Circus, just talked about in Parks and Rec, it is like a zoo, and you have to deal with those monkeys. Creating Community Partnerships by Joanne Zimmerman, also from Texas State. Finding the Money was another session. Girl on Fire, that's the one from Wimberley. And she literally, her house went on fire while she was at a soccer board meeting. She had to leave. Anyway, it was really, and she's phenomenal. She's also been in the Leadership Academy, and she was the director of the Central Texas region. And then the final presentation I went to was Building a Parks Foundation. That's a way to get funding other than, tax dollars, developing philanthropy, that kind of thing. Oh, 5 Birds, 1 Stone. Hitting programs that meet physical, mental, emotional, several of those needs, and then intergenerational program. There was a huge vendor exhibit of all the types of equipment, supplies that Parks and Rec departments use. Finished out with the awards ceremony, and that's it. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Vice Chair Ermis regarding her time at TRAPS 2025?
Oh, I have one more thing. I stayed at this Hyatt hotel, and when I checked in, they said, "Oh, yes, this is your MasterCard or something." I said, "No, it's not on my MasterCard. Here's the card to use." So I gave them the card, and that's the same card I reserved the room on, but the charge never came through. And when finally I got an email, it charged me for 2 nights, but I was there for 3 nights, and the bill never came. So it's a blessing. Somebody's MasterCard has my bill.
You shouldn't have told them on YouTube, Ellen.
Are there any questions for Ellen regarding her time? Thank you, Ellen.
We'll go on to staff reports. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and provide staff feedback regarding the strategy for incorporating art installations and landscaping within roundabouts, enhancing aesthetic, cultural, and functional value of the city roadways. Melissa McCollum.
Good evening, Parks Board. My name is Melissa McCollum. I'm the Chief Development Officer, and I have the exciting opportunity to really work on kind of our roundabout programs for the aesthetics within those. And we have the pleasure working with Marissa from Coleman & Associates. So with that, I'm going to introduce her, and hopefully we can run through this program and get your feedback and ideas that you have related to this. So Marissa, I'll turn it over to you.
Melissa and I aim to make this as confusing as possible. We have Melissa McCollum and Marissa McKinney. And so I'm a landscape architect with Coleman & Associates. And we have a longstanding relationship with the city of Kyle because we worked on Mary Kyle Hearts and Parks. So we were really thrilled to hear about the TARP award that it won, because it also won a landscape architecture award last year. So we're very excited for our park renovation that happened. And we're even more excited about the 20-odd roundabouts that are coming to Kyle that we are working on updates for. Oh, I think I went too far. Nope, here we go, okay. So these roundabouts, we're focusing on 3 different typologies for the roundabouts. So we've got some roundabouts that have really xeric landscape planting strategies. We have some roundabouts that are featuring art and environmental graphics, and then we have some roundabouts that are featuring signage and branding. And as part of that, we're working on a really unified signage and branding strategy to integrate with the existing signs that the city of Kyle has, and kind of bring those into a new kind of contemporary light with some of the signage that's going to happen in the roundabouts. So these are the current locations of the roundabouts. We have 22 roundabouts currently shown, and then 2 beautification projects that are shown on this graphic. Within each of the circles, you will see either an L for landscape, an A for art, or an S for signage, and that these locations were developed in concert with a group of city staff members. And we have also presented these at the Arts Board twice now. And so like I said, we've got the roundabouts shown on here, and then the beautification projects that are happening, which are also listed, are item 6, which is Kohler's, and then item 14, which is Center Street as it kind of winds down into 150. So those are separate projects that we're working on with the city, but the timing is kind of coming online with the roundabouts because, especially the ones on Kohler's, those improvements will kind of hopefully be done in concert with one another. We show all the major roadways as part of this graphic as well, and then the beautification streets and some of the secondary streets that these roundabouts are off of. So the first typology that I talked to you all about was planting strategies and xeric landscape as part of these roundabouts. So the roundabouts that are tagged with the L are roundabouts that are only receiving a landscape treatment. Currently what we're showing as part of that is not just softscape, plants, trees, etc., but we are proposing some grade change on some of these roundabouts. So we're looking at some boulders and things like that that are being incorporated into the designs. But the images we showed here are really where was the jumping off point for these landscape interventions. And so we're not hoping to replicate any of these images that we're showing, but it was really just kind of gathering information from all across the U.S. on what some of these landscape strategies could be, and making sure that we're marrying that with, one, our location here in Central Texas, and two, making sure that all the landscape interventions we have are very water-wise interventions and, geologically appropriate to where we are here and the conditions that we're living in right now. So we've got more of these images. Again, we talked a little bit about grade change, about incorporating sort of higher level plant material into some of these roundabouts, and really making them also of the place. You guys have an existing roundabout on Burleson with the sign that's located in it, and that was renovated a couple of years ago to be really xeric with the gravel and the butter block that surround it with the star logos. And so taking that as a jumping off point, there's an existing roundabout along Bunton Creek as well. And so kind of taking the items that you've got, which are landscape interventions in the roundabout, and seeing how we can kind of, again, move those into the future and roll those out across the roundabout program. So we want to anchor these with a strong planting design that can create structure and identity. So you see the roundabout, each one of them will be a little bit different. So you see it and you have a sense of context and a sense of place associated with each of the roundabouts. Using local materials, again, to create that vertical change in the roundabout. We have a slide about that as well, about sort of the science of roundabouts and how creating that grade change in the middle is actually really beneficial to the safety of the roundabout and its circulation. And then the importance of providing seasonal color and interest. So we want to make sure with every planting design we do, we have a good evergreen base. So in the middle of winter, when we get those beautiful snowstorms that we get nowadays, that we have a good evergreen base material so the roundabout doesn't look naked. That was our directive from City Council, no naked roundabouts. So that evergreen base does a lot for that, but then making sure that we provide that seasonal color that happens throughout the year in Central Texas. Obviously right now we have wonderful spring color, but there are a lot of plants that provide really good summer and fall color, and even some winter interest with some of our grasses and things like that. And then the use of gravel to reduce irrigation and maintenance for the roundabouts. That's something that we at Coleman & Associates really focus on, is designing in reverse. So looking at what a client can maintain in perpetuity and making sure that we're designing to what can be maintained, because we want these to look good long into the future. And then the use of native vegetation is obviously very important to the city of Kyle. So the second typology is the art and environmental graphics interventions. So a lot of these examples are pulled from Bend, Oregon, which has a roundabout art program. They have a website that features information about a lot of these artists and how the art was conceived of. And so it's a real highlight in their community. Not all of these were picked from that, but a lot of them were pulled from that particular example. And the conversations that we've had with the art board, we've kind of finally narrowed in on some examples of these and what they could be for the city of Kyle, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation, because we are going to put out a call to artists, and we want to make sure that the art interventions are unique to the city and our Central Texas area. So again, connecting with local artists in the community and beyond, highlighting what's special in the community, and injecting color and personality into these roundabouts. Again, these can be used, the art can be used as a wayfinding device for people of Kyle and people visiting the city of Kyle. And so making sure that each of these is unique in its own way is important to the program. And then if you guys received a copy of the PowerPoint, if you click on the Bend, Oregon, it's a link and it can take you to the website that they have that features all of their different artists. And the final typology is signage and branding. And again, we look kind of all throughout the U.S. on how signage and branding can be deployed in these roundabouts. The locations that we've chosen are sort of gateway locations for people traveling off of I-35 and from kind of outlying areas coming into Kyle. And so we want to feature signage that both integrates the existing signage that y'all currently have. The one located further north here, it is off of...
It's Windy Hill in Yarrington. Is that what you're
This
referring
one
to?
up here. Is it not the west side?
Oh, yes, the roundabout, the Kyle
I
roundabout.
think it's further north. It's up the road with the big hump in it. It's got a really long name. Jackson Hayes Trail. There's one at Jackson Hayes Trail. It's the state of Texas with the blue Kyle logo located in it. So we are looking at making sure that we incorporate, again, that existing signage design that you'll have, but trying to kind of put a fun twist on it for the roundabout signage as well. So these were some examples that we pulled from in looking at that. And again, just evolving kind of the sign family. We don't want to stray too far from the signage and the logo that y'all have. We've actually worked with the city before on looking at the lower left image here. This was something that was conceived of off of Center Street and I-35 here a while ago on how we kind of take the current Kyle logo and do something a little bit fun with it. This was going to be a really cool photo opportunity for people that it didn't end up being built, but we have a building block to kind of launch from for some of the signage to happen in the roundabouts. So we've dipped our toe into some of these roundabouts. So we've got, these are in for review with the Road Bond group. The BB and Go Forth one was the first one to go in, which is a landscape island. Windy Hill and Cherrywood was the second one to go in. It is an art island. And then the Kyle and Dacey, Kyle and Lehman and Button Creek, and Dacey and Lehman all went in as part of one package, which is noted as the Kyle Lehman package, and they are all landscape interventions. And so this slide was primarily to illustrate the sort of science around roundabout design. You'll see on the roundabout graphic in the bottom, we have a red dashed circle. From the area at where the roadway is, so where you see Dacey or where you see Kyle Parkway, where you would kind of circulate the roundabout in your vehicle, from there to the red circle in the roundabout, we can't have anything that's over 3 feet tall, because that is the area as you're sort of approaching the roundabout, you're looking to your left for oncoming cars, and you want that area to remain clear of obstructions so that you can see oncoming traffic. Anything within the red circle can be over 3 feet tall, and it's actually encouraged that items kind of come up in that area so that people aren't trying to look through the roundabout at cars, but they're really focusing their vision directly at cars that are coming at them. So we've verified this. It looks a little bit different on each of the roundabouts because each of the roundabouts has different approaches, different angles. Some of them are only 3-way roundabouts instead of this one, which is a 4-way roundabout. And so each of those will feature a different for view clearance area surrounding the roundabout. Yes. Each of these will be different, and that's all calculated by the civil engineer. It has to do with the approach speed and the size of the roundabout, so that how many lanes are feeding in and around the roundabout. So the civil engineers are required to calculate all of that as part of their package. Any other questions on, because I know this is sort of a lot of technical information that has to do with the roundabout.
I did have a question. It's going to be Kyle Parkway and Dicey, the 16L thing?
This one in particular, yes, is what's illustrated.
And like 2 blocks north of there, there's a new city building which has sort of a blind entrance and exit. So I don't know, like, you're not going to have another roundabout in 2 blocks, right? So I don't know how that will be addressed.
Yeah, so we have had that conversation with our engineering department. This roundabout is not that far, but it's not within the scope of that entryway or that blind spot on that hill that you're referring to. So we're currently working with our engineering team to either add this to the scope, but it's going to be outside of Coleman's design here. But that is something that we're currently exploring for the 1500 Dacey building that you're referring to.
Thank you.
So amidst the design of the roundabouts, we want to make sure that we're engaging with stakeholders like yourselves throughout the process. So we initially presented this to City Council. It was approved. As I said, we've met with internally staff, the Parks Department, the beautification group. We meet regularly to discuss the roundabouts. We have met with the Arts and Culture Board. We've presented to them twice. We are here with Parks and Recreation, and then, like I said, Public Works and the Engineering and Capital Improvements are also involved in the process as well. So we're trying to make sure that we have as much input on the process and the roundabouts as we possibly can as we move through the process. So we have presented to the Public Art Committee twice, February 19th and March 19th. On the February 19th, we presented a presentation similar to this one, just kind of giving them a brief about the roundabouts and I guess the seed we planted at that meeting was that on the March 19th meeting, we wanted to discuss what we thought potential themes could be for the art in each of the roundabouts. So as we put out the request for qualifications to artists or the request for proposals to artists, that we kind of narrow in on a scope and a direction as part of those. And so the 3 themes that are we're currently moving forward with are celebrating local flora and fauna. So featuring native plants, animals, and natural elements that represent the area's unique ecosystem. And we showed some photo examples of what some other cities have done as part of that. To honor local history, including subtle references to the area's past, such as settlers, landmarks, cultural milestones, and especially because some of these are tied to, Kyle legacy families and things like that have been in the area for a long time. So kind of, again, planting that seed. The top left image was from a city that this is actually a artist's interpretation of a dredge because they had dredged out the river in this particular location. And so it was something that was important to the city and the legacy of the city, that people don't really see the dredging equipment anymore, but it was important to their local history. And then embracing community growth, reflecting the energy and optimism of a thriving and fast-growing communities, the fast-growing community that Kyle is. So we want to make sure that we are also using materials that withstand the outdoor conditions in all of these art pieces, again, thinking with maintenance in mind. And then maintenance-friendly and sustainable design is also important as we move forward with both the landscape and art interventions for these areas. So the design timeline that we're on, we have, again, we've kind of already, like I said, dipped our toe into several of these, but we are hoping to have the construction documentation completed for projects 1 through 12 within Q2 of 2025, within Q3 projects, that should say 13 through 17, In phase 3, at the end of this year, having projects 18 through 22 documented, and then in Q1 of 2026, having documentation for 23 through 27. The landscape timeline, the work that we are doing is very much tied to the civil engineering packages that are moving forward. So we are kind of tracking at the pace of those civil packages so that we can get our landscape and irrigation and any lighting needs that we need incorporated into those and coordinated into those packages. So the ask that we have today for y'all is, does the project approach seem relevant? Are there any ideas that are missing from the current approach? Are we engaging with the correct groups of people? And as we move forward, are there any parks initiatives that we should take into account? Or any other comments or questions that y'all have, we welcome them.
I did have a question. What responsibility will Parks and Rec have with these roundabouts?
So I'm assuming you're referring to maintenance components. So we will be taking in the maintenance aspects of it. So one of our, I guess, studies and observations that park staff will have to do is conduct what we call O&M numbers. So identify, hey, what is going to be the actual cost for us to take this online and keep up with the frequency of maintenance? Is this going to be something that we're going to have to go once a week, once a day, all those various components? When you're referring to the public art component, the Parks and Recreation Department does oversee the Public Art and Cultural Board. So that will be something that staff will be coordinating regarding the call for art. So that's going to be something that us staff are going to be facilitating.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I was curious about the timeline. I'm assuming that's like quarter one of the calendar year, not the fiscal year.
You're correct, yes.
I have a comment just for the future. If you go to Aruba, there are no stoplights. All they have is roundabouts. And for Christmas, they decorate every single one differently according to a theme. Like this one is whales, and this one is crabs, and this one is seahorses.
We should do that.
So
I mean, not whales and crabs and seahorses, but like,
there is an example in a lot of these Bend, Oregon ones. The deer here, the deer gets decorated with a wreath around his neck for Christmas. There was one that I really wanted to feature, and it's, I think he's a logger.
I've
And
seen
so
that
he
one.
has like his little logging axe and his foot up, and they decorate him with like all sorts of Easter creatures for Easter. So I support your seasonal
I have seen
initiative.
that logger decorated for 4th of July, not Easter.
And I think that's something we're looking at with the signage component as well, is making sure that we can do some fun lighting and see, because you guys do such a beautiful job at the holidays with Mary Call Hartson, and trying to make sure that that's something that we could potentially roll out in other locations. So we are looking at making sure, I mean, every one of the roundabouts will have water for irrigation and electrical, because we have to power the irrigation controller at each of them, but if there are kind of subsequent electrical needs that we can incorporate within the roundabout to incorporate that stuff, that would be wonderful.
We get a contest. It's full of ideas. You said that the jumping off one is the Burleson one, the Burleson roundabout?
It is the,
Kyle sign?
no, it's the BB, it's roundabout number 15, it's BB and Daisy.
Okay, do you have an image of that?
I do not have an image in this presentation of the BB and Daisy one.
Okay, I was just curious.
But most of these will be all new intersections, for sure. So
Okay.
as part of the Red Rock project, number 9 is going to be,
Yes, sorry, not 15, number 9.
number 9 is kind of the first one that's going to come in is at Kohler's and BB, or the new road of Kohler's.
Okay.
Yeah, that one is a smaller roundabout, one of the smaller roundabout interventions. That
It's
have-
very stark and no offense to anybody, it's very ugly.
Oh, the Burleson
Yes.
one.
So I thought that was the one that you were referring to, that we were
No, that one is not part of this package. The existing roundabouts that you have are not part of
Used to light
it.
up and the Kyle sign used to spin.
Yeah.
There was just a wreck over there last week before, moved the big old stone that was right there. But I don't know what happened. I like the Kyle spinning.
I like the spinning Kyle.
It's kind of plain though, just white.
Any other questions? We move on?
I just have one. So once you're done with construction docs, how soon do we anticipate moving into actual construction phase?
That is different on each roundabout. So each of them, because it's part of the road bond project, our scope is lumped into those. And so they have to go through the bid process, the formal bid process and things like that. And so I don't have the construction timeline for each of those projects, but.
I will say that KyleBonds.com, I don't know if you've ever looked at that website, but that is really related to the road bond projects, and it has not only kind of the schematics, what planners and engineers call schematics of exactly how those projects are, but then the phasing and construction schedule of those too. And actually, I think the city's going to be doing another open house in regards to the road bond projects. So if you kind of take a look at that website, you can really kind of follow along with those. And I think they're going to do a Q&A open house coming up soon for all the road bond projects as well. But as far as construction and everything else, really that website is the key to see where we're at with all of the road bond projects.
And before we advance to the next presentation, I just wanted to be sure that there was no other landscaping or aesthetic suggestions or concerns that the board had.
Or any of the initiatives that y'all are working towards that would be important for us to incorporate into these.
No, I don't think so, because you hit on the fact that you're focusing towards native, plants. That's perfect for us, but for the city of Kyle, do we anticipate kind of revamping the other roundabouts or other areas where we have some, invasive species kind of things planted in?
I could say that's something we're actively looking at for everything within our inventory and that we maintain. Deputy Director Escoto was just talking to me about some KPIs and metrics that our conservation biologist John Davis is looking at. They're going to be tracking where those exotic species are and the transition plan. I think the goal for this year is that we have at least 80% native landscapes within as we phase some of those exotics out over time.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for letting us present. We really appreciate it. And then just so you know, our plan is to go back to council, kind of talk about how we've featured some of this with the Arts Board and showed some of the landscaping ideas to parks as we continue to work through staffing kind of on this, and then hopefully to continue to take this to fruition and make sure that Marissa has these elements and roundabouts incorporated into the road bonds, so when the roads open, they open with some of these ideas at the same time incorporated.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Next, we'll receive a report, hold a discussion, and provide staff feedback regarding general department updates on special events, programs, aquatics, parks, beautification, trails, conservation, and capital improvements projects. Chris Escoto.
Great, let me just make sure we have everything working. Chris Escoto, Parks Deputy Director. As we do every month, we provide you with a monthly overview of the various initiatives that we're currently working on. So what you see on screen, we're going to be providing you with some quick updates. So we do have a new staff member that actually started today. His name is CJ Martinez. He is going to be, or he is, our integrated pest management technician. To just give you a general definition of what that is, what they're going to be conducting is they're going to be improving the health, safety, and appearance of the park system by using responsible and environmentally friendly pesticides and various initiatives whenever it comes to managing invasives within our park system. Mr. Martinez is a licensed pesticide applicator, has 9 years of experience. He has a lot of experience when it comes to maintaining ball fields, golf courses, playgrounds, schools, which is up the alley that we're looking to have within Cal Parks, as well as has worked for a number of agencies that are reputable, one being City of Round Rock, which we actually visited this past week, I believe that was on March 27th. Got a chance to take a look at Rocking River, which was a recommendation given by one of you all to take a look at and see, hey, that's something that we want to bring to Cal. So truly, I probably speak on behalf of staff that we were truly inspired by just the various park initiatives and park improvements that they're looking to do. So we learned a lot, and it's going to be something that we're going to be bringing, can't necessarily say specific projects to Cal, but we are going to be exploring and looking at how can we further expand our park system through some of the creative solutions that they are currently implementing, being that they are a CAPRA accredited agency, gold medal agency. That's what we're shooting for. So that's definitely something that they are. We see them as our peer, or I guess our peer city, that benchmark city that we truly want to replicate here in the city of Cal. So do want to highlight that. And with that, I'll pass it over to Amy Garcia to talk to you guys about her events.
All right, Amy Garcia, Assistant Director. So I have some updates for you guys. So we participated in the Spring Break Camp. That happened about 2 weeks ago. We had 40 youth campers attend. We went to various different events. So they did some STEM programming, chemistry, cooking classes, and also we went to Bob Bullock Museum as well as a petting zoo. So that was a surprise that we brought to the Spring Break Camp this year. So they did the petting zoo in the gazebo area, and also we went to interactive field trips like Urban Air. And we are also programming and continuing the field trips for summer camp. We are maxed out. There is only 1 week and youth left, and we are at about a 20 person wait list. It varies week to week, but we have the need for more space, so we are also incorporating that into our next year budget request so that we can try to accommodate that number. We also increased the number of available spaces this year. We increased it by 30. So with that being said, we actually have more of a need for another 30 spaces within our summer camp. So next up, we have our community events. We have our Kyle Market Days to launch off our 2025. That will be on April 12th. That will be at Mary Kyle Hartson Park from 8 to 1. We will have live music out there by Billy Cody, as well as various vendors, food vendors and market vendors. And then our Easter extravaganza will be taking place on April 19th at Greg Clark Park. It will be from 10 to 1:30. We have a little bit of a change up for our egg drops, so we will be doing 3 egg drops for the entire program. So we do encourage people to get online and look at your time slot for your age group to come on out and join us. We will have 2 bunnies on site. One of them will be walking around, and then the other one will be stationary at a photo op. And then we will have face painting and carnival games out there for the kids. So we do encourage you guys to come out and visit us. We have about 80,000 eggs to give out for this event. And then upcoming, we have our programs. Not listed on here, we did have our story time in the park happening on March 29th at La Verde. So we did have 20 participants come out, and that is in partnership with the Kyle Library. And then we also had our first volleyball clinic, and that was in partnership with the Lehman High School volleyball team. We had about 25 attendees for that. That was a registration of 50, but we had 25 show up. And then we're also talking to Lehman about future volleyball clinics, and we're just trying to get scheduled with them on when we can get those programmed. But other than that, we have trivia night. Unfortunately, was canceled tonight just due to staffing. They are out sick. But we will have our paint and sip for April this Friday, and then of course senior cheer volleyball along with bingo in partnership with Kyle Area Senior Zone, and family night out this Friday. That will be at Ash Pavilion. And pickleball, the pickleball tournament, that is maxed out. We do have a wait list currently going. That is going to be at Arden Apartments. And then our Tiny Tot Triathlon, that is where they can bike, run, and swim. Registration is currently open for that on Rec Desk. And then, of course, we will finish out the month with adult trivia Everything can be found on RecDesk. I would encourage you guys, if you haven't already, to sign up to be a member. We do provide new monthly newsletters now, so that will go out. It'll give you the highlights from the past month and also what's coming up for the month of following. And then to follow, we have aquatics. So Kyle Kuda's swim team is registration is currently open. That will close on April 25th. We do have the contract with British Swim School that we will continue for this season. They will be providing our swim lessons, and then pool reservations are currently open, and those are filling up fast. I do check on RecDesk, and those dates are going quickly. So if you're interested in a pool reservation, definitely look on RecDesk for available dates. And then we will have our 2 events, the dive-in movie, one in June and one in July. And of course, our pool will be opening on Memorial Weekend, which is May 24th, and closing September 1st, which is Labor Day weekend. We are about 95% complete in hiring. We did get, both pool managers are hired, and we have a few positions for lifeguards and a swim coach to assist with Kyle Kudas. And that is all of mine for recreation. Any questions for us? I will
I'm sorry, I did have one.
Yeah.
Where is the summer camp going to be? Are y'all doing various schools or how?
It will be held at 1, so if you wouldn't have asked me, I would have known off the top of my head. It is the school right next to Hayes High School.
Barton?
No, it is Live Oak.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, it'll be Live Oak. That was the only facility at this time that provided us, we asked for about 13 hours in the day, so they were able to accommodate us at Live Oak.
They have a little gym and stuff.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. One thing I did forget to mention, T-ball is coming up, so registration for that will be opening. That will be starting in June, so if anybody's interested in that. And that is all for me. I will pass it back over to Chris.
All right, guys, so talking about all the winter projects that we conducted over the last several months, definitely want to give a shout out to our entire Parks Tech team. So that includes our Trails Division, Conservation Division, our maintenance team. There are a number of activities that they completed the last several months, as you can see on screen. We did try to get fun with, try to give you some representation on the impact and the level that we truly went into. We did take out roughly about 325 cubic yards of tree limbs, trash, tires, concrete, fencing, all throughout various right-of-ways throughout the city, which equate to 15 truckloads if you're a visual person. Similar to the playground mulch, went ahead as an annual thing that we conduct for all of our playgrounds. We have to add engineered wood fiber to maintain levels of safety for our playgrounds, which is equivalent to 11 school buses. So that was a cool number to see, as well as decomposed granite. So Mary Kyle Hartson Park features some decomposed granite along the trails. So that's something throughout all of our trails within the park system. We did roughly about 5 cubic yards, which on truckloads is about 2.5 pickup trucks. So that is a lot of the initiatives that we conducted. Another one that I want to highlight is our park rules sign that are already installed at all of our parks. You see a visual of our team members there installing that at Greg Clark Park. I believe that's the location. So definitely want to highlight their efforts on this. It does complete all of our winter projects. We did go ahead and, based on what we identified early on, we went ahead and completed all of them within this time frame. So this is going to be something ongoing every winter that we're going to be highlighting to you all of our various efforts that we're conducting in the park system. I always say everybody loves a feral hog update, so that is one that we're going to be featuring monthly. To date, I want to mention that we've captured 56 total hogs, and actually that number increased by 1 this past weekend, so we're at 57 now, where we have deployed both at Waterleaf and Kensington. So that's something that we're still continuing to monitor as sightings are reported and damage is reported. That is something that our conservation manager, John Davis, is working on with our contractor to mitigate as quick as possible and deploy set traps or whatever that may be in order to take them off site. And with all these efforts that we have been conducting, we have noticed drastically damage and sightings have declined. So that's good news for the various efforts that we've been conducting.
Where do they go?
So they are transferred to a USDA processing facility. And I'm going to touch a little bit of our CIP updates, and then I'm going to transfer it over to our park planning and project manager. But as was presented today, we are currently working on public art and landscape within roundabouts, so that's something new that I wanted to feature. There are roughly about 20 plus with various efforts. I know there was a presentation today, so I'm not going to really highlight too much, but just want to make that known that that's something that staff is currently working on with Coleman and Associates, which presented today. Public art RFP. Not sure if you guys are familiar with this RFP that was put out this past year at fall of 2024. There was a public art RFP that the scope was to bring a unique, one-of-a-kind, large-scale piece of artwork, such as a sculpture or monument, that was contemporary in style and visually striking, where moving parts were a plus, where you incorporate some type of wind or solar-powered manufacturing along with it. So that's something that a task force was created where they conducted a number of evaluations, where they ultimately selected 2 out of the 5 submissions, 2 artists that are going to be going to council here in a couple weeks to either accept as recommended or make some modifications to those. And those 2 pieces are what you see on screen. There is what they call X-Heart, which is the one that could be, it's on the right, but will be featured at La Verde, and you'll see a slide here shortly. And then the interactive flowers that are being proposed over at Steeplechase Park, right next to the recently approved playground improvements that are occurring, which we are going to have an item talking to you about today based on that final report. I know you guys are all eager to see which option won, so that's going to be something we're going to be highlighting. PROS master plan, that is something that's continuous. We are currently working with the Stantec team to provide some final concept plans that we're going to be initiating some type of come and go open house where the public can come in, provide some general comments based on the site plans that are being featured for the various undeveloped parks. So that's something that we're still on pace to seek final adoption of that master plan in May of 25, or here in a couple months, or I guess next month since we're already in April now. I-35 Green Ribbon Program, that is one component that hasn't entered the maintenance period. However, one of the components that were still needed to be conducted was replacing the dead vegetation that existed based on the punch list due to specific windows on availability on some of those plants. It kind of got pushed back based on the availability, but that is something that the contractor is currently conducting at both the Windy Hill and Yarrington areas for that gateway signage. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful park planning and project manager.
Good evening, everybody. How are y'all?
Good, thank you.
Good. So this is probably my most exciting item on this presentation tonight. So it shows right there in yellow that we are currently scheduled for a closing date, but that actually happened on Friday, so last weekend. And so we now own the area in green and in red. So right now what we are doing for the Steeplechase or the Spring Branch Vibe Trail segment is we're actually finishing out working through the task order to take it to full design, and then we're going to take it out for bid in the fall and construct the area in yellow, the yellow lines. For the other Vibe Trail segment, this one, there's no change from last time we met. The current status is the early design is still underway, but we are refining the alignments to some extent with some questions from the designer as well. For the Waterleaf and Steeplechase parking lots, we had the survey crews out on site last week. And so they are actually getting that knocked out and what have you, so they can get all the base level data that they need so they can design this park appropriately, or the park improvements, which are the parking lots. This is both at Waterleaf and Steeplechase. And for the Steeplechase playground, City Council approved the contract on 3/17, and there was at least one person asking if we could put a zip line there, so we are exploring that option right now with the group Worlex, who is putting this one together. This also, on the survey, it was, sorry, I thought we had another slide for it, but that's okay. They chose the Hedra option, which has a lot of hexagonal shapes and what have you. It's very modern, very futuristic, and so the general public liked that the most, so that's the one we are selecting for. With the Lake Kensington Nature Park, the design team, MESA, on this, they are actually seeking a lot of data from us right now so they can start that base level design. So all the utilities, survey site work, all that kind of fun stuff, and floodplain and all that. And that's the design work starting now. For 208 and 246 Republic Drive, this project is the one that's showing the most progress because, namely, it's under construction. And this is our new park administration facilities, two 6,600 square foot buildings that y'all previously have been told about. As of this week, they are pretty much done with the priming. They got a few touch-up areas to do. They're going to go into full subsequent layers of painting on the inside. And then they're also installing the ceiling grid for the ceiling tiles and getting the lights installed. And we have an in-house electrical crew, so they've saved us several $100,000 on that project alone. So we're pretty excited about this. And this project will largely be wrapped up between both buildings by mid-May. We may have a few punch list items like certificate of occupancy and all that, but by and large it'll be by mid-May. And we can move in and start hanging pictures and getting our furniture, so that'll be great. 1500 Daisy Lane, this is the area where by and large the Kyle seniors are moving to from a facility standpoint. City Council gave the vote to move on to full design, and we are taking a contract back to them on tomorrow at the council meeting for the actual cost to go into full design. So we're pretty excited about this. This project is anticipated to be fully designed, permitted, and construction complete on the interior by the end of this calendar year. The fitness pad at Lake Kyle, a week and a half ago, we received the final permit sets for design for the fitness pad itself. We then applied for the permit last week, the beginning of last week, and so now it's under review by the building department, and we're going to be hopefully getting this under construction in April is the plan at this time. Waterleaf Park restroom. Y'all have seen this one before, and it's currently expected to be constructed by summer of 2025. It's currently awaiting revisions with the state reviewer. We can't do anything about the time frame it's taking, but we are keeping in contact with the designer and what have you to make sure that we're ready to jump whenever the project goes. On the skate park side of things, early design is underway. The survey work is now completed for the site, and so we're moving into full steam ahead on the design work, and we are excited about this project. It'll be going out for bid in the fall and under construction. Actually, not for bid, excuse me. We already selected that, but it will be under construction by the fall and then complete by early summer, late spring of 26. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and one thing to add to that too, we will be bringing back that schematic plan or design plan to you all. We anticipate that coming maybe May, June is when we anticipate that design coming back for you all to provide us feedback.
Oh, so you're talking it's going to be ready next summer?
Yes, the project will be complete by summer of 26 at the latest, but it'll probably be late spring is what we're thinking. Any questions on the CIP updates? We had a lot of them.
With the skate park, so they're going to let go of the tennis courts there or whatever behind the...
That's correct. Yep, so it is going to be, as you see depicted on screen, where that flow bowl currently shows, that's sort of the placement of that tennis court. You kind of see a little rectangle right behind it, that green and blue. That's where the tennis court's currently featured. One thing that where staff is currently looking at is bringing off a rotation list, bringing in a landscape architect firm to give us a master plan of, which is a vision of what we want Greg Clark to be, where that tennis court could potentially be relocated within the site.
Does the contract zone go up to the playground that's on the other side? Is that what you're saying?
Not quite. There's a few picnic tables, water fountains off that road. It's kind of hard for me to depict exactly how many feet, but it's about halfway there to the playground.
Okay.
Any other questions on the CIP? All right. That's it. Yeah, I was going to say, we have the next item, right?
So we'll go on to receive a report, hold a discussion, and provide staff feedback regarding the final report for the playground replacement at Steeplechase. Will Atkinson. Oh, Chris Escoto, sorry.
I'm going to introduce Will. All right, the wording shows a little funny, but I'll be explaining, walking through the presentation. But Chris Escoto, Parks Deputy Director. As I spoke about in the monthly report, we are featuring the Steeplechase Playground Final Report. We're going to walk you through the history, timeline, concept, summary, survey results, proposed improvements, timeline, feedback, and the direction that we received based on the community and council. It's a little funky, but the history and timeline. So just as a general reminder, to give you a little bit of feedback for it. So staff ultimately assessed the Steeplechase Playground back this winter, and we realized that it met its life shelf, essentially. So it was something that staff engaged with sub-consultants where we identified 3 concepts for the community to select a favorite design. Ultimately, we received feedback from you all, as well as City Council, where we received the green light to go out to the community to survey them. So that survey was open from February 10th to February 28th, and ultimately the findings of that were brought back to City Council earlier this month, about 2 weeks ago, on March 18th. And so what were the concepts that were given? I will pass this over to Mr. Atkinson, and he can walk you through the various concepts, how we engage the community, and I'll come back and wrap up.
All right. So, by and large, all 3 concepts, and y'all have seen this before, so we won't go into too much detail, but by and large, everything, whenever we build a new playground, we want inclusive amenities. We want synthetic grass, pour in place, and what have you. We want to do everything we can to make sure that everybody feels welcome and can actually have fun at the playgrounds, right? We want shade, we want accessibility, mobility throughout the area. But we had 3 concepts. So we had the themed, the traditional, and the modern that Whirlix provided on the survey. And we had about 510 responses, and this was simply open for 3 weeks. 31% of the respondents did require special assistance. Maybe they had either sensory, physical, cognitive, auditory, or other issues that they had people help them complete the survey. And option 3, which is what I had mentioned earlier in the CIP report, is the Hedra design, or the modern concept, if you will. It received a clear 40% of the votes. Option 1 and option 2 had 30% of the votes. So when we took this to council, they went with what the citizens wanted, and so they had selected the modern concept. And then some of the items on there, people had mentioned they really wanted a merry-go-round on there, and then also the need for shade structures as well. So from a proposed improvements area, and on this, we are showing accessible surfacing, shade, new playground equipment. We're fully replacing the playground. Enhanced landscaping, and we're going to put a sidewalk loop around the playground area, and also have seating around it so parents can sit there and enjoy watching their kids play and what have you. So the total cost for improvements on this with a 5% contingency is approximately, or it's not approximately, it is $787,000 and 731, excuse me. And this is a very exciting project. We're like, if y'all have been out to Steeplechase Park, y'all know it's in dire need of replacement. This is going to be bringing it to the next level. So right here are some images that you can see of the heater set, along with the shade structures and all the improvements that go along with it. There's going to be mostly, it's going to be a mix of turf grass and pour in place, so that way, or synthetic turf, so that way we can replace pieces of it as needed, but also we wanted those areas where it just functions properly and kids have a great time. Here's the current schedule right now. It's a little bit blurry, so I apologize. Oh, okay. Thank you.
So the timeline for this, as we'll walk you through the various concepts. So this backdates truly back to December, whenever staff assessed the playground. And then we started bringing it to you all, Park Board, in January, went to council February, engaged the public, and now that we received a contract authorized by City Council, now it's time to place the order of the equipment for us to be able to get that installed. Right now, there's roughly about 5 to 6 weeks of lead time for that. Construction will probably take somewhere around 2 to 4 weeks, but we do feel confident that we can have this playground completely renovated by this summer. So that is something that, as Will highlighted, it's a great story truly for the city of Cal, and not only that, it's going to be an asset that we believe the community will cherish for many years to come. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
I have a question. Were y'all surprised that 31% of the respondents required special assistance? Was that a number that was surprising to you?
Not to me, just from the sense of knowing the profession itself. I would probably say I've had the pleasure to work on an inclusive playground in my prior city, and quite frankly, about 90% of disabilities are hidden. And so that's a statistic that was facilitated through various resources, but that is something that is being a little bit more common from overstimulation when it involves sensory, you name it, whether it's recognized as a disability from a playground standpoint. That's something that the industry itself is improving on, and they are adding components to playgrounds as every year, truly. Every year there's something new. So it's maybe for this community, it's like, oh, wow, we didn't realize that's something. But one thing I do want to highlight that's going to touch on briefly is going to be the quality of life study that the city recently engaged on, which is going to incorporate ways that we can increase our ADA accessibility and look at all of our facilities and how can we improve that just for all those various abilities that we have in our community.
So what percentage of the park, what percentage of the equipment is for special assistance people?
I don't have the exact percentage in front of me, but there are various components to that. So that was actually a question that was asked at council, is what are the various inclusive or accessible components that are going to be featured? So not only are we going to be adding sidewalks connecting to those benches, and we are going to have what we call companion areas that someone that's wheelchair bound can sit right next to somebody able-bodied that's sitting on a bench. Right now, if you go to the park, you're having to go through the grass because there's no connection to the side path. So that's one thing that we're looking to do. The sensory aspect of things, there are multiple components within the playground. I don't necessarily know the percentage itself, but I know this does have a lot of stationary equipment up along the side. You are also incorporating the surfacing. So the surfacing, with us going with the synthetic surfacing option, it is anti-static. So for those that have a medical hearing device, there's not going to be any static that will potentially damage that device. So that's another one. Of course, the surfing itself is going to be easily to comparing it to what we have currently with the EWF.
the engineered wood fiber, bless you. That's going to be something that we are improving from an access standpoint. So I'll have to get back to you specifically for percentage of components, but I can tell you that there's going to be several. There's also transfer tables or transfer stations that exist just from a playground standpoint. That for those that are wheelchair bound, they're able to get off the wheelchair and navigate within the playground structure. That's something that's pretty standard for the playground world. But those are all those various components that are going to be implemented within the playground. So this is going to be both 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. So we're going to be incorporating both the typical age ranges that are featured for playgrounds. And it's going to be all combined. So as an example, I heard Greg Clark Park. There's another playground over there by the baseball field, field number 5. That's a 2 to 5 structure. And then you have the 5 to 12, which is just the main playground. So we're going to be combining both of those spaces. And that's what you see featured here with the two various components. So they're two separate structures, but in the same area.
And then my second question, what is a calming tunnel mound?
So a calming tunnel mound, it's very hard to see on screen, but if you see that middle area, so as I talked about.
I mean, I see a mound, but I don't see any tunnels.
Yeah, it wasn't depicted in the render, but there is a tunnel that goes right through it. And what that serves as a purpose is for those that are overstimulated, if they want to hang out in that area and be their zen space, that's typically what that's for. Any other questions? Great questions. Yeah, well, thank you guys.
Do we call for adjournment? Second?
And I apologize for being late.
Oh, that's okay. All right, all in favor? And the time is 7:07.
7:06.
Covered a lot in